There are some people who believe that you are a genius, and there are some who believe that you are evil. So,
Look, I mean, you can be both. I mean, you could be an evil genius. That's not, you know.
So you will tell us what you are, or you will let the people draw their own conclusion?
I am definitely not evil. That's it.
Tell me, what is the thing that you have ahead of your...
Yes, if you look carefully, you can see an angel's halo on my head. And the wings, it's subtle, but...
where are the wings?
Yeah, they're difficult to see, but if you look carefully, you know, they're right there.
Yeah.
You think all this can last? There's a storm coming, Mr. Wayne. You and your friends better batten down the hatches, because when it hits, you're all gonna wonder how you ever thought you could live so large and leave so little for the rest of us.
Welcome. Please feel right at home. I want to teach you a game called, amusingly enough, Stay Alive. It's quite deadly. To win, you eliminate your opponents like this, or they eliminate you. It's great fun. I'd be happy to teach you how to play, but there's no one left. I'm the sole survivor. Stay Alive from Milton Bradley.
Yeah, and what's shocking is how quickly Milton increased in strength today, Category 2 to Category 5. Wow. 180-mile-per-hour winds in this storm. And my brother-in-law has a vacation plan later this week down in West Central Florida. That might not happen. Now, canceled vacations, small, minor inconvenience contrasted to the devastation we're going to see.
I know people who left here. I don't know if they even stuck with their plans. They were trying to go to the East Coast around Orlando to escape whatever was coming early, and now it's going to be just as strong on that side of the state when it crosses.
It is incredible, and the strength of the system, don't want to downplay that whatsoever. We don't see Category 5s this strong very often. In fact, there's only been 40 since the 1920s.
What's the water temperature in the Gulf, Ben? I know that really fuels the storm.
Well, that's the exact reason. I mean, very, very warm. I mean, you got record warmth in some areas of the Gulf, feeding these storms and making them this catastrophic strength. You've got, again, maximum sustained winds that have just increased with the 5 o'clock update here from the National Hurricane Center, up to 180, moving east at around 10 miles.
We know the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong. Do you not think an angel rides in the whirlwind and directs this storm? This work continues. The story goes on, and an angel still rides in the whirlwind and directs this storm. I will keep America moving forward, always forward, for an endless, enduring dream and 1,000 points of light. This is my mission, and I will complete it.
This is stronger than Beryl. That was a Category 5 earlier this year. And we've only had 5 other years with 2 or more Category 5 hurricanes in a calendar year since 1950. So again, this just doesn't happen all that often. But 4 of those 5 years have happened in the 2000s. So it does seem to be happening more frequently these days. So here is Hurricane Milton, the latest track from the National Hurricane Center, Category 5, just north of the Yucatan Peninsula tonight and tomorrow. Then zipping across the Gulf of Mexico, possibly making landfall Wednesday night near Tampa as a Category 4, still a major hurricane, but maybe not a Cat 5 by that time. And then zooming across central Florida and then into the open waters of the Atlantic by early Thursday morning. So it won't take much time to cross the peninsula of Florida Wednesday night into early Thursday morning. Now, here's a look at the Saffir-Simpson scale, how we see how strong these storms and what kind of damage they can do. Right now, at the strength of Category 5, that's when we get those maximum sustained winds over 155 miles per hour. That means most homes near a coast will be underwater, possibly anywhere from 8 to 12 foot of storm surge and flooding. There's no power for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people, and roofs blown off. A Category 5 hurricane is like an EF4 tornado, just over a much wider path.
Said I was born on the wild side. one foot in the flames and the other trying to walk the line. Can't say I never saw it coming, I can see the warning signs.
So just to drive home a point, you'll find very, very few geoengineering or chemtrail sites that talk about Weather Modification Incorporated. You can see program services, meteorological services, atmospheric assessments, cloud seeding, weather radar systems. That's the Doppler and X-rad we'll get into at another time. Here's the aircraft everywhere. But they have atmospheric assessments in the clouds, the transformation of invisible atmospheric water vapor to visible droplets governed by nucleation, the character of local aerosols and cloud condensation nuclei. Okay? So you're not hearing that being talked about on all these sites, and folks. And here's another bunch of companies that are sponsored by our state governments for wet surface air coolers, Weather Modification, Wisconsin. These are all sites that provide wet surface air cooling and other services for geoengineering that are not being covered by nearly all chemtrail and geoengineering sites, and all these people like Freeland and Kirby and these others that are putting out geoengineering books, okay?
Despite the cost, however, NASA does need to test these engines once in a while. So they built this place in the wetlands of Mississippi. This gave them an imaginary boundary line, and anyone living on the inside of it was offered a simple choice. Stay, and you'll never hear another television program as long as you live. Or take the NASA shilling and get out. No one stayed, and NASA ended up with exactly what it wanted. 125,000 acres of nothing. They even had to move 5 cemeteries, because the noise they were planning on making would wake the dead. Don't worry if you can't hear what I'm saying. I couldn't even hear myself. This is the loudest sound you could possibly conceive. And as it turns out, the cleanest. Now, the most amazing thing is that that cloud up there, which was generated by the engine, is just a mixture of hydrogen and oxygen. It's water vapor. And in about an hour's time, someone in Mississippi is going to get wet washing. It will actually rain. I told you! It's raining! I figured as I climbed back on my tractor that things couldn't get any worse. But I was wrong. Very wrong. The next day it started to rain again, and this time it didn't really stop for the next 6 weeks.
Across the country, warnings remain in place for severe weather.
Risk of flooding, risk of transport disruption. Torrential rain, a month's worth in a day.
Here is at its highest level since records began, clearly unprecedented.
The Met Office says it presents a danger to life and caused havoc not seen for almost a century.
But we begin tonight with the spiraling emergency after Hurricane Helene, the mounting death toll, at least 182 lives lost, hundreds still unaccounted for. Tonight, President Biden touring the devastation. The president sending 1,000 active duty troops to the region to help. And tonight, the once vibrant city of Asheville, North Carolina, right here, is in a shambles. Buildings and roads severely damaged by powerful floodwaters. We have new video tonight of the raging river nearby, picking up a home right there, slamming it into a pile of debris. Dashcam footage capturing the moment a couple narrowly missed being swept away by this landslide. This is from the Blue Ridge Mountains. Fast rising waters taking people by surprise. Look at this tonight. Stunned neighbors. They're huddled together inside a flooded home, standing right in the living room there. The images from Hendersonville, North Carolina. President Biden taking an aerial tour of the hardest hit areas with the mayor of Asheville, with North Carolina's Governor Roy Cooper. The president calling what he saw today heartbreaking.
For British farmers, the autumn of 2019 was Armageddon. My farm is 700 feet above sea level and the brashy soil drains well, but even it had become a quagmire.
Vice President Harris in the storm zone in Georgia tonight with a message for families hard hit and thanking first responders there. ABC's Morgan Norwood leading us off from North Carolina.
Tonight, 5 days after Helene's terrifying floods, with the scope of the devastation becoming more clear, President Biden seeing the destruction firsthand today, flying over the hardest hit areas to avoid disruptions after announcing he's deploying 1,000 active duty troops to the storm zone.
I'm here to say the United States, the nation, has your back.
And planting seeds in ground like this is impossible. I used to while away my evening hours reading car magazines, but not anymore. Nowadays it's Farmers Weekly and it's Farmers Guardian, and all they're talking about is the rain. The unbelievable levels of rain we've been having. Look, deluge disaster, biblical. And inside, that's the only topic of conversation as far as I can work out. That's all there is, just rain, 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 rain.
I'm not buying what Michael Murphy's selling. I'm even more skeptical now. I don't think he knows enough about the weather to be talking about this. I enjoy talking to Kristen, but she's making some crazy claim. Uh-oh, here we go. HAARP. Every conspiracy theorist's ears just got a little bit bigger. For those of you who don't know what HAARP is, it's a top secret military installation. The strange weather patterns, the zombie storms. Even though it's clear that something's going on, I'm not buying that chemtrails are causing all these things. Here's what I learned on my journey. What people are calling chemtrails are not the government spraying evil chemicals on you. They look like clouds because they are clouds.
Farms sacrificed to protect homes from rising floodwater. Worst autumn leaves winter crops undrilled. This poor guy hasn't planted a single thing. Can't plant anything, it's too wet. Look at that poor sod. Look at that for a farm. What's he going to do? Everyone is saying to me, you couldn't have picked a worse year to start farming. You couldn't. This is unbelievable weather. Unbelievable.
The HAARP thing is a bit more confusing. It's terrifying when you're too dumb to know who's stupid. And unfortunately, that's where I find myself. And the only people who really know are the people that are working at HAARP. And none of them are talking. And I wouldn't talk either. And none of them are talking. And I wouldn't talk either.
And now we're learning that scientists and researchers are looking at how to change the weather on purpose. That's right. Lasers now could one day manipulate rain and lightning. CBS This Morning contributor Michio Kaku is a physics professor at City College of New York. Professor, nice to see you. Extraordinary seeing Al Gore and Bill Clinton there together with Charlie, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, they did not get into this discussion, though. But it is fascinating. I mean, lasers, really? To change the weather?
That's right. Well, as Mark Twain once famously said, everyone complains about the weather, but no one ever does anything about it. Well, instead of doing a rain dance, we physicists are firing trillion-watt lasers into the sky to actually precipitate rain clouds and actually bring down lightning bolts. This is potentially a game changer.
But this is experimental.
It's experimental. However, in the laboratory so far it works. When you have water vapor and you have dust particles or ice crystals, you can precipitate rain. It condenses around the seeds. These seeds can also be created by laser beams. By firing trillion-watt lasers, you rip apart the electrons, creating what are called ions, and these ions act like seeds, like dust particles, bringing down rain and even lightning.
Go ahead.
Well, this fascinates me in part because, too, I remember reading the stories that China had used this during the Olympics, that the USSR had used this after Chernobyl to create rain clouds. I mean, did those really work then? We have some of these capabilities now?
Inconclusive. Even in the 60s, the CIA used this to bring down monsoons during the Vietnam War, to wash out the Viet Cong.
Are the world's governments manipulating the weather and creating huge zombie freak storms? I'll tell the government right now. Tell you right now, if you're listening, NSA, CIA, I'm available, okay? If you show me all the real wreckage, I swear to God, I will make fun of that crap to the end of time. I'll make up stories. I'll lie to my mother. I don't care. You show me a UFO, I'll lie to my mother.
Governments have been playing with this thing.
Alleged to.
Alleged to, right.
Yeah.
Now, realize that for decades now, these governments have been alleged to have experimented with weather control, but nothing conclusive. This time we're bringing in the laws of physics rather than simply waving our hands and uttering mumbo jumbo. We're actually using trillion-watt lasers now. And in the laboratory, sure enough, they precipitate rain out of water vapor. Sure enough, you can actually bring down electricity down the beam.
So what does it mean for drought areas that need to have rain for crops? And if they don't have them, there's the consequences of famine.
Well, the bad news is if it's a clear blue sky, it's not going to do anything at all because it only takes water vapor that's already in the air and condenses it.
That's unbelievable! Oh, NASA's playing God. It's making its own weather.
So that was an example of NASA's weather modifying device. They sell it as a engine testing device, but as you can clearly see, it's made to modify weather. It's known as a wet surface air cooler. These devices are all around the world and are used to manipulate and control the weather from the ground. Most of us are aware of geoengineering from the skies. We look up, we see that the skies are being painted much more. The geoengineering chemtrails include aluminum, barium, strontium, formaldehyde. They also will spray chemtrail flu to make people sick to help Big Pharma. But these wet surface air coolers, ground-based weather manipulators, it's very little discussed. Weather Wars 101, which I'll include in the show notes, is the only site I know of that is actually bringing to light these massive devices that are all over the world that are manipulating the weather at will. And as you can see from this video right here, from a ground-based to an aerial view, you can see clearly that weather is being created. Cloud formations are being created, and when they add the different devices, they can steer and move the weather. You get a little higher picture here, and you can see this is just creating these huge plumes from ground-based devices, yet geoengineering and chemtrail alternative media except for Weather Wars, are lax in covering this. The devices they use to steer the weather, you've maybe seen them, they look like golf balls, are called NEXRAD, Doppler radar, you see on TV, you hear on the news services. Those are the devices they use radio frequencies to steer and control the weather, but the water evaporation towers that are going up into the air are a huge part of the entire geoengineering ecosystem control.
However, for floods, for agriculture, farmers, for people planning wedding parties, football games, you name it, outdoor events and agriculture and flooding and even hurricanes, all of them could be subject to weather modification.
Incredibly interesting.
And it needs to be brought to light. Another is the Bill Gates Silver Lining Project, where they actually have devices that use seawater to spread water vapors up into the air as well. So this is a whole new avenue for geoengineering and for the chemtrail activist. to get involved with and start discussing how wet surface air coolers, WSAC, are a huge part in the entire weather manipulation closed loop system, using chemtrails, barium salt to activate the clouds so the water vapors can interact, and then the NEXRAD, Doppler, HARP facilities, radio frequencies to steer the weather. And here you can see it's like the Home Depot of water surface air coolers. That's how prevalent these all are.
The heated up water from the condenser outlet is sprayed in the cooling tower, which induces a natural air draft, and the sprayed water loses heat. This is how a colder liquid is always provided at the condenser inlet.
So it's a critical part of the operation is that water, when it's released from these cooling towers, is some 10 to 15 to even 20 degrees cooler than it is at ambient temperature on ground level. This is an example using a simple ice inside a water chest and a blower to show how water can be cooled using air over a cooler surface. This helps cool the air to create rainwater above in the skies.
The amazing thing is that cloud up there, which was generated by the engine, is just a mixture of hydrogen and oxygen. It's water vapor. And in about an hour's time, someone in Mississippi is going to get wet washing. It will actually rain. It's raining! That's unbelievable! Oh. NASA's playing God. It's making its own weather.
Mama always said I was born on the wild side. I guess Mama was right. 'Cause when the clock strikes midnight, I'm gonna ride the lightning, feel the thunder, till the darkness pulls me under. Gonna fly on wings of fire, breathing good Lord lifts me higher, singing oh when they call me on. Singing oh when they call me on. I'm gonna ride the lightning. There's a man in a black coat standing at a crossroads with a pen in his hand and a long list of lost souls.
Lasers sound like the stuff of science fiction, right? Sound completely unbelievable. How could our military possibly be using those in future warfare? Guess what? We've just had a recent breakthrough, more great test results that are making lasers a reality. So it's called Athena. Lockheed Martin makes it, and they've been doing a lot of the pioneering in this laser field. Now what's really exciting about it is that it's so hard to harness that much power and make it compact enough that it's actually going to make practical sense downrange. And they've proven that they can do that. Recently, they tested it against 5 moving drones, so realistic drones that they might go up against with, enemy forces might send against us, for example, or terrorists might send against us. And it successfully shot down all 5 of the drones.
Oh no. He's gone. The dog's gone.
This is huge news because it means that in a realistic, practical setting, it's looking very promising. So it could be ready to field quite soon. So when you see the movies or you look at comic books or television shows, when you see laser weapons, they tend to be a color, right? Red or green or something like that. Real lasers, one of the key advantages that they provide is that they are invisible. You actually can't see them. You just see this damage suddenly starting to blow something up.
The Club of Rome is a group of scientists, humanists, educators.
It's irritating that
humanity has not listened to us, but they haven't.
The warning bells were there already 50 years ago. The big difference is that now we truly are in the midst of the crises.
We are much, much closer to potentially catastrophic outcomes.
Now we have a short opportunity where everything is up in the air.
We thought it was the time to now reassess to see what does science tell us today and how does the future look like the next 50 years.
We have to change the story. We have to provide a plausible, coherent, consistent, and also science-based and numbers-backed story that people find more attractive than business as usual.
So if we take a look now at what the Athena did to a truck. So we're looking at a truck engine, and the Athena within seconds was able to beam right in there, heat the whole thing up, and burn through the engine of this vehicle. So if you can imagine if you were in that vehicle, all of a sudden this hole would start appearing in your engine and the whole thing would just disappear.
A sign from God. Just hours after the Pope announced his surprise resignation, the heavens over Rome opened and the top of St. Peter's Basilica was struck by lightning. As the sky was lit up by the huge bolt, it led to speculation as to whether Benedict XVI's boss was less than happy with the news. The apparent divine intervention came as the 85-year-old pontiff sent shockwaves through the church on Monday after announcing his retirement, the first pope to do so in 700 years, saying he no longer had the mental or physical strength to carry on.
It is thanks to CERN that we have touch screens. It is thanks to CERN that we have new tools for fighting cancer.
The world of medicine has seen its share of miracle cures, from the polio vaccine to heart transplants, but all past achievements may pale in comparison to the work of Dr. Alice Crippen. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Not at all.
So, Dr. Crippen, give it to me in a nutshell.
Well, the premise is quite simple. Take something designed by nature and reprogram it to make it work for the body rather than against it.
You're talking about a virus?
Indeed, yes, in this case the measles virus, which has been engineered at a genetic level to be helpful rather than harmful. And I find the best way to describe it is if you can imagine your body as a highway and you picture the virus as a very fast car being driven by a very bad man, imagine the damage that car could cause. But then if you replace that man with a cop, the picture changes, and that's essentially what we've done.
Now, how many people have you treated so far?
Well, we've had 10,009 clinical trials in humans so far.
And how many are cancer-free?
10,009.
So you have actually cured cancer?
Yes, yes. Yes, we have.
Technology is completely safe. And I think that we need some more long-term data, which will obviously come with these studies, to know that interfering with the DNA and RNA in our cells is actually potential.
But we did it with COVID.
We did, and there are oncologists now calling for it to be stopped, the mRNA technology. So there is still debate around that. And I think it's good. We need debate, but we need open debate where we really can look. The other thing is going to be cost, Nana. So we're looking with this particular vaccine at £400,000 per patient.
But surely the treatment of somebody who has melanoma and all the things that go with it is far more expensive than that. And then the cancer can return, so then you're going to be paying again.
Yeah, so this isn't going to stop the cancer in the first place. But this is after.
But once you've had it, then you can use this technology to stop it. Yeah. So you'll still have to have all the treatments to get rid of it initially.
You will.
Right.
And then this will hopefully stop recurrence. Because otherwise you'd have to inject everybody in case they ever got it, and you wouldn't have any sample proteins.
Well, you wouldn't have initial DNA from... You'd need to do...
So you've got to have the cancer to start with. But, you know, nice guidance, which guides our money and how much we spend, puts about £30,000 on every life, quality of life year saved. So whether or not this will fall into it, whether the price will come down as the research goes ahead. But certainly, I said to you in the break, we are going to have some very open and honest conversations with people and say, look, this is your NHS, this is the pot of money. Do you want to do this or do you want to do that?
You are constantly working with European industries to build low-emission airplanes or to create new solutions to transport liquid hydrogen.
Mental health issues affect people of all ages, income levels, and cultures. No one is immune. Advocate for and promote mental well-being in your life and to those around you. You're not alone. The more you know.
Are the world's governments manipulating the weather and creating huge zombie freak storm? I'll tell the government right now, tell you right now if you're listening, NSA, CIA, I'm available, okay? If you show me all the real wreckage, I swear to God, I will make fun of that crap to the end of time. I'll make up stories. I'll lie to my mother. I don't care. You show me a UFO, I'll lie to my mother.
If we turn against each other based on divisions of race or religion,
Come on, try getting it out.
Ding, 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 bong. That's all, folks.
This could destroy the space-time continuum. I don't belong here. My friend, where we're going, we don't need. Actually, I have no idea what we'll need.
Nothing but the blood of Jesus. This is all my righteousness. Nothing but the blood